morning, noon, afternoon, evening, and night to all. Welcome back to ATSCast. This is your neighborhood dude Jude, your host, and with me is the rest of the ATS heartbeat. So say what's up, Abid.
Hello, everyone. Happy Mercury retrograde XD. Oh my god, I'm an astro. Anyway, I'll be back here again. 22 out of Toronto, Canada. You already know what's going on. It is cold here. that is that is all. University student. Yep. Aaron, go for it.
What's up, guys? Yes, as Abid said, it is Mercury retrograde. I'm an asparagus myself. Yes, I am in Malaysia for our new viewers. And yeah.
Oh, what's going on, people? I'm Amir. In Kuala Lumpur right now via Seattle, Washington. And yeah, hope you're all doing well. And let's get to it.
Interesting. Mercury retrograde today, huh? As far as I know, that means Mercury going backwards from our
That
perspective.
is exactly what it is, and it
Yeah.
lasts for 30 days or something.
30
It's-
days.
it's-
Wow.
Interesting.
Jude, are you a vegetable as
Till
well?
the 20th.
No, I like looking
I
at the
think
stars.
Jude's a beat.
Jude the bee.
Love looking at stars, and Mercury is red. So
Jude
what's
hits
up?
the beat.
Did you know Mercury is always located 2 fingers away from the sun when looking from the sky? Anyway, that's a fun fact.
Wow.
Damn.
Wow.
But yes, what happened to our podcast? It's not supposed to be about planets. We'll do that next time, alright?
That's another
We'll
episode.
We'll talk about asparagus and fettuccine in another episode. But currently, the world has been taken aback, or not really, but the world has known that Jeff Bezos has effectively left his role as CEO of Amazon. Now, why is this intriguing news? It's because he's not only one of the richest men on earth, but he's also one of the most influential in our current time when people are inhibited in the places they can go, right? Another story, somewhat similar, broke out in the stock market scene when GameStop's value experienced a cumulative surge that took the professionals aback, right? And to hear such two interesting stories in the span of a week, where in the past year we've only been hearing about a certain type of virus dominating our news headlines, it's a pretty fresh perspective, and I wanna look further into that for this episode. So we don't usually cover such technical perspectives in this podcast because we're meant to provide engaging and intimate content, but it's also important to ask people like us with an outside look on situations and those who are not familiar with the technicalities themselves, right? That's our role. So, simple question, guys. How familiar are you with the stock market?
Not at all. No, I mean, like, yeah, I know as much as a general person would know.
You know it goes up and down. I think
Yeah,
that's very-
exactly. I mean, like simple stuff like that. Obviously, I know. Obviously, dividends and all that. We learned that way back when, but I know a bit about that.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah, but it's very basic knowledge. I literally am personally not that invested in stocks, primarily because of how my mom has set me up. Not gonna lie, from when I was a kid, my mom would always tell me like, "Yo, don't think about stocks, this and that," because she's had family members who have lost a lot because of stock trading. And I mean, yes, stock trading is a sort of gamble.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a form of gambling in a way. It's a more calculated gamble, I guess. Um, but my mom always put me away from stocks and stock trading and everything, so I never really looked into it myself. Never found interest in it. Um, but yeah, I mean, what happened with the GameStop surge and all that was pretty funny to see how the internet really rallied against the Wall Street people and the people quote unquote in power and better off than everyone else. So yeah. How about you, Amr?
For me, it's your perspective is pretty like opposite from mine. My mother encouraged me to learn about stock
Hey,
market.
good shit, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably because she liked gambling when she was younger too, so that's really helped. In terms of levels right now, I, what's above basic? Probably intermediate. Yeah, I'll categorize that as my level right now, because I mean, because I'm currently trading as it is, but not in the Kuala Lumpur market because it's kind of trash. Just doing some stocks into New York Exchange and stuff. But when it comes to the Robinhood the Robinhood GameStop surge shit, it really thought of me as pretty interesting, but something that could have happened pretty much very much earlier. Um, uh, there were opportunities where um other developments in probably in other sectors where it could have had the same effect, but maybe with the advent of the of um sites like Robinhood, it promoted another way to gain this level of popularity. So yeah, Aaron, what's your thoughts on it?
I think I share a more similar sentiment to Abid in the sense that I've know basically as much as a general person about stocks, and my mom as well has been kind of steering me away from stocks. Every time I kind of mention it, she just gives me a look like, when this whole GameStop surge was happening, I was like, well, this is a good time to actually learn and get into stocks. And I looked at it and I was like, if you gave me like a budget and I tried to make it back for you, what do you think? And she just looked at me and she said no. I was like, okay, never mind. Like she was like, don't get into stocks. I was like, okay. But I do know I have been looking up, uh, you know, reading up on this recent surge with GameStop, and it is pretty interesting. I think I do understand the perspective that Amir's coming from, in the sense that it could have happened in other segments much earlier. But I think this movement was almost kind of dramatized as well. I'm sure there are a lot of people that went in it to make money out of it as well, but I know a lot of people that were in it just like to get in with the movement, like, oh, this is happening, fight against Wall Street sort of thing, and that's how it, from what I know, that's how it really became really popular.
Actual.
Yeah, so it is interesting for sure. But Amir, did you participate in it, by the way?
I didn't go into GameStop itself, but the other ones that were surging, such as there was AMC, Bed Bath and Beyond, Nokia. Yeah, so I just went into those three companies just
Oh, sheesh.
get a general feel.
Smart.
Yeah.
I mean, all three companies have a very, how do you, not intimate, but very nostalgic feel, no? Like, I mean, it still holds like a very, how do you say, not a very practical value, but a very inherent value to a lot of people because of experiences that they've had with that they associate with it, right? But yeah, with regards to my own experience with, stock markets and this and that, right? Fun fact: I have actually first time I tried. Well, I did forex trading back when I was like 15. Still safe all days, boys. But the reason why I don't talk about it is that I made $20 and then I lost like $50 after, so I had a net loss.
Hey
Stocks.
man, any experience is a good
I
experience.
did not touch. I literally told my mom, like, Mom, I can make money if I just like look at the way conversion rates between the USD and euro were, and then like buy and sell depending on how the forecast looked with each currency. And she was like, really? And my mom was like very supportive, right? So she was like, here's a loan of $100. I was like, bet. And I made money. I was like, damn, that's proud. But like, I lost it afterwards.
Your mom was like, my boy's
Let's
a
not talk-
genius. And you come back, I lost it all.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, never mind.
No, it's funny too because I made money in like 2 days, and then after like 8 days, it's just all gone. It was literally all gone. I was like, ah, yikes, this is not my thing. Or at least I have to study. But with regards to the current scene, right? Like, I haven't performed anything with it. I haven't touched anything related to the stock market, but I am a math econ major. I am a senior that studies math and econ. So of course, investment trading and stock portfolios, all that comes within my field of study. That's why the recent news is really, really interesting. And to give you guys a bit of perspective on what happened, basically, what the traders for GameStop did was like what regular Wall Street people were doing was betting that the GameStop share would go down. And the reason why there's such like an uproar within Wall Street is that it's a mass movement of people from Reddit that allowed GameStop's price to go up instead, which which screws up all of the value that these Wall Street people have had, right? So just a perspective on what do you guys think about professionals betting on these like hard value stuff? Like what is your take on how people are technically manipulating the way the markets move? I know it's a common thing around us, like, but have you ever stopped and asked yourself, like, is that even like an ethical thing, for example? What do you guys think?
I mean, I think the practical side of me looks at that like it's normal. That's just kind of how it works, I think. If something is, not succeeding or going down, of course, if you see an avenue to make profit, of course you're going to take it. And with this whole situation, I can kind of understand why Wall Street would be pissed, because, what was supposed to happen, what was forecasted to happen, what should have happened, didn't happen because of, some of the, I've seen some of the quotes they've used as, targeted attack, right, against Wall Street. And I guess I can kind of understand the perspective they're coming from, because they're following a certain set of formulas to search for profit, and but that's kind of overturned when something like this happens. So I don't really think it's wrong per se. The practical side of me, at least, doesn't think it's wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's always about finding a middle ground. When you look at, let's see, both sides, the ones that's on Reddit, making these hedge funds lose their money, and then there's the Wall Street guys. Both sides are engaging in market manipulation in their own ways. The only difference is that the Wall Street guys did it for much longer and, well, pumped in more money than the guys in Reddit, the people on Reddit did, which they're labeled as just the small dudes. Well, as as an example for now, um, I think what troubles these these big hedge funds right now is because they just came off a really big year, which was in 2020, where I say about companies, hedge funds such as Melvin Capital that just recently got crushed because of it, because of this short surging, short squeeze.
I ask people, like my professor used to work like
Wall
within these
Street, right?
capital
Yeah.
companies. Well, not Wall Street because he's from Europe, but yeah. And I still ask him about the technicalities, and a lot of the times he goes back and like, oh, yeah, why is it like this? Why is it like that? You're just used to the way your environment is that you don't really ask sometimes. If you're there to make money, you don't necessarily need to ask too, right? You just need to know how to get the money, right? And I think that's the motive for a lot of people. But yeah.
Yeah,
Ding,
that's,
ding,
I
ding,
mean,
ding,
ding, ding, ding. It's fair. I mean, to be honest, I don't really have much to say on this. People in power are gonna be in power, bro. They're just gonna do whatever the fuck they want. To me, Wall Street has always been a really fascinating thing, purely because of the people who are in Wall Street, they don't know anything for sure. They're just banking on the fact that this might happen, based on percentages that say, oh, this has a higher probability, possibly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it was a fun time seeing all these Wall Street people lose their just minds straight up. When this dude from Reddit, dude, I forgot his
Yeah.
username, man. I forgot his username, but dude, this one dude from Reddit really rallied the people, regular people, and were like, yo, let's all buy GameStop shares and show him who's boss. And people taking back the power. I mean, I'm pretty sure we'll get into how there is an abuse of power there with the Robin Hood scandal and the other. There's one more, right? Besides Robin Hood, who was also stopping trade. Whatever, like the whole mediation of trading itself, and how there is there is some regulation there, which is probably not fair. But it was interesting being someone who's completely not in that realm to see just everyone having a meltdown, while
Yeah.
also like people, some sort of change being brought around, or people's eyes being opened, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah, just to add on a bit on the market manipulation side of things, what I think was really interesting when I was reading up on this and watching all these old people on CNN get angry, was how there's a sort of justification from the, I may call, the Redditors the ordinary people, right? Like the average person, which is what it's they get kind of getting established as, right? The ordinary person against the rich Wall Street guys, right? What's kind of interesting to me was that both sides, like Amir mentioned, are, doing some form of market manipulation, but it's justified on the side of the Redditors because they're the ordinary weak people against the rich Wall Street guys. And that just kind of raises an interesting argument to me in the sense that is it only justifiable because we're coming from a position of those that have been quote unquote oppressed, or those that are kind of being controlled, or those that aren't profiting as much as those guys are? Because at the end of the day, if you look at it, if you say market manipulation is a bad thing, if you look at Wall Street and you say what they're doing is a bad thing, then technically it should be a bad thing across the board, no? Any thoughts on that, Jude?
Like I was there, that's a very good transition to our next point, because I feel like this whole scenario, this whole issue with Redditors, regular people doing a tactic against the typical Wall Street people, is a romantic kind of scenario, right? And I can take you back to like one crisis that everyone's familiar with is like the 2008 financial crisis, but one particular part of the financial crisis, which I feel really doesn't get highlighted, but I am very, not only very passionate about, but very, skeptical about the way it unfolded, is that people's livelihoods got affected by silly things that you do in the stock market, right? And this one's not necessarily, in the stock market. If you're going to be technical here, this was more of like loans to people that were badly funded in a sense. You call those subprime mortgages, and these are for people who are not supposed to get them, got them anyway. But then when the entire market crashed, like it ruined a lot of people with those homes, and they had to be evicted. They had to leave. Like that's why these issues are important to me personally, because they affect people, right? And in a sense, yes, if you're gonna look at it from both sides of the coin, market manipulation, quote unquote, it's not technically manipulation, because there's actually like a more technical definition of market manipulation where companies actually actively like try to make the market environment in favor of them. But if we're talking about market manipulation in the sense that the way people buy and sell stocks in order to change the company's value, right? You could give an argument to those Redditors, for example, because they're not the one. They don't do it out of a living, in a sense, right? They did it to in a sense stand up against the not the common, against the, how do you say, the typical scenario, the typical, how do you say it? There's a better word that I'm thinking in my head.
The common one?
Typical schedule, in a sense. Sorry, Amir?
Well, no, sorry.
Oh, no, the typical work schedule that Wall Street people do. I think a lot of it goes to the fact that sure, people in Wall Street lost a lot of money, but I think there's a lot of neglect in the other side of the coin, where like these kinds of things, if they're not regulated properly, they can impact poor people in a larger effect, in a sense, right? Like a rich person losing $400,000, sure, in absolute terms, it sounds a lot, but like a poor person losing $2,000 in their home, even though it sounds less, actually produces a greater impact, right? And I think that's why, that's why these kinds of issues are important, not only to people who are on the technical side of it, but people who don't understand. Like for me too, right? Like I can say I studied this, but I don't understand a lot of it. But it's important to be relevant because of the fact that these things happen. Um, yeah, that is a
Yeah,
important question we should
that is
ask
true.
ourselves, right?
I think everyone
Mhm.
should be somewhat aware of it because at the end of the day, whether we are aware of it or not, it will impact us in some shape or form.
Yeah, it applies to a lot of things in life as well, right? But with regards to what Abid said, and the advice that his parents gave him of stay away from the stock market, that's already a good example of how people's trust in the stock market has gone, because you never know what's going to happen, and that's the point of the stock market. That's how people make profits out of it. But at the same time, um, it has such a bad rep because of it, right? Um, so I feel like I'm more in the middle. I'm not going to say stock market is bad, like in general, but it has flaws that I think people that surely, like, since 2008 things have been addressed a lot better. But it's a moving target, and I think that's what happened this last week as well, right? Like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
people who are not people who are not insiders have started performing something that was unexpected. Well, technically expected, but yeah.
Yeah.
Technically expected, but it's a crazy world, man. I think for as someone looking outside of the stock market, trying to look in, it feels like I'm getting swallowed up when you try to look in. There's so much stuff.
Yeah, there's a
But let's
lot.
try to. Yeah, that's a lot, bro.
That's a lot, bro. That's a lot.
Let's try to change topic to something more familiar with us, because I think everyone here uses Amazon, right? Bar Aaron, because you're.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, but you use what do you call it, Shopee.
I
But
use it a
similar
lot.
concept. Amazon's such a huge influence in our lives, but then you hear about the scandals with regards to low-paying workers in America. What are your thoughts on Amazon in general? Before we move to Jeff Bezos.
Hey man, life's tough, man.
Hey, come on! I know Abid uses a
Oh
lot.
man.
I think it's contested between me and him, who use Prime the most.
Yeah, probably. I mean, okay, my Prime usage has gone down a little bit the past 2 months, but I mean, dude, ever since I moved here, Amazon's just been my go-to shopping retailer, really, and it's unfortunate because these big corporations, they don't care about anything but making money. They don't care about who's working for them, what's working for them, what's going on. They care about whether, if this is making us money or not. So as unfortunate as those stories are about people not being paid enough, this and that, like, am I still gonna buy that Keurig pod that I need for my coffee machine? Probably. It's just convenience outweighs everything else for me, and I am blessed to have that that availability to me of convenience and all that. But I mean, it doesn't justify them for not paying enough. How Jeff Bezos is literally like the richest. He was, right, because Elon took up anyway. Whatever. One of the richest people on the planet, and then these people who are on the streets every day delivering the packages day after day after day, packaging at the warehouse, whatever. They're getting paid literally cents and nickels, dude. Like, it doesn't make sense. Um, but I mean, Amazon it is a big company, man. I don't think most people don't realize that Amazon really doesn't make as much money from their retail side. Their web services are pretty much the biggest in the world. I think that they offer the biggest a web. They're the biggest web service provider, I think. And the amount of money, dude, I saw the numbers once and I was kind of like losing my mind, bro. How much money they make from their web services, whether
Yes,
it's
sir.
security or server hosting or whatever. It's kind of crazy. And but yeah, I mean, Amazon, it is a devil, but unfortunately, I am a part of the capitalist machine, whatever, what have you.
Let's go.
Capitalism.
Part as fun.
Capital.
And it's no stranger that Amazon is headquartered in Seattle, where I spent like 4 years in. Just going back to the AWS point, which is so super true. I think that's also the reason why the CEO for AWS, I think his name is Jesse or something,
Yeah.
has been made the Amazon CEO going to the future because Bezos is heading to a head executive role in the board. When it comes to Amazon, I feel like um the amount of trust being put into place into this company, which is a multi-million-dollar corporation that's grown into somewhat of a juggernaut, that's never before seen in these times. It's quite staggering, especially with the amount of trust being placed by Bezos. Because if you look at the origins, it was mainly supposed to be a book company, right?
Yeah, man.
So even at the start, it wasn't doing so hot, and the guy just went through the motions, like of ruin, of despair, and he kept plowing, and he adapted to the situation at hand. Um, wait, when I think about Amazon in the Seattle, is in terms of the city itself, it hasn't really improved the city whatsoever. I mean,
Yo, that's pain, dude.
everyone can everyone that lives in Seattle can literally pinpoint to Amazon as to the reason why homelessness in the city has grown so much as it is. I think we have more homeless people living in the city than New York at its peak, or even Chicago during the mob wars. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of discourse about Amazon. It's good, it's bad, it's in and outs, but you can't take away its influence in the world basically because of how much is developed and how more people are getting into the Amazon space, whether it's through shopping online or using AWS and etc.
Yeah, just to chime in for one more second here, like, dude, what you mentioned about the book every time I read his story, it's still like it's funny to me how his plan was, yo, I'm gonna be a book retailer, and I'm gonna be that bookseller, dude, and everyone's gonna come to me for books, and I was just like, what, what,
Buddy?
what? And what's also interesting is a professor of mine in my first year at U of T. Um, he's very closely involved in the stock trading and offering business advice and all that. He was telling us back when Amazon first went, like people heard about Amazon first, um, in the 90s or whatever. Everyone would make fun of the company and be like, "This is the dumbest idea on the planet." This was quite literally the dumbest idea on the planet. Um, and he was one of those people. And what's interesting is, uh, like 2 years later, Amazon blew up and then set the standard for online retail shopping and pretty much the online sphere of shopping, period, right? So he was like, "Yo, I made a mistake. I should invest." But I mean, yeah, it's crazy how big Amazon has become. So yeah,
Then again,
Aaron.
most of the big tech stories, big tech success stories always start out like that, right? It always starts out with an innovation that people don't expect to succeed, like, oh, this will never work, right? The same applies to like Apple, Netflix, like when they had these moments where they wanted to spearhead a new industry. Most people were just like, oh, it's not gonna work. You know, I've read countless case studies on all of this success stories per se. But when it comes to Amazon, as a resident Malaysian here, no, I do not use Amazon. I use Lazada. Yeah, which is probably just like it's like the cheap knockoff version of Amazon, where you get cheap shit instead. But yeah, I've used Amazon a couple times when I was in the US, and I'm always amazed at how efficient it runs, like with the same day shipping and everything. But I think as like what you guys were mentioning earlier, everyone knows about Amazon, whether you live in Malaysia, whether you live in, I don't know, countries that are available, not available. And especially as a business student, the amount of case studies I've done on different avenues of Amazon, different perspectives, different business strategies, it's insane. Like, I was recently doing, recently had to do research on their grocery shopping. Amazon Go Grocery, the cashierless grocery store. Have you guys heard of it? I think the first one opened
Yep.
in.
Yeah, there's one in like a few blocks from my place.
Yeah, there's one. Yeah, the first one opened in Seattle, I think. Oh no, one of the first ones opened in Seattle, something like that. But
I think isn't it Seattle?
Seattle, I
Huh.
think, right? I don't know.
It should be. I feel like
Yeah,
a lot of people lined up on the first day as well.
Yeah, I
for it.
think one of the first ones opened in Seattle. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I had to do research on it because Amazon's taking over everything, you know. But yeah, I think it's definitely admirable to see how the company has grown to just kind of dominate everything, and they're definitely the model of an efficient, you know, successful company, if any. But yeah, that's all I can really say about Amazon.
That's pretty insane when we compare to like financial institutions. When Jude was talking about like the romance about it, I feel like we all have like some I don't know how you say, but unkilled romance to like
Mm-hmm.
technology companies or e-commerce companies.
Yeah.
But then when we compare when it's compared to like financial institutions, it becomes murky and a bit watered down.
Yeah, true. I think it's always pretty yeah, Jude was using the word romantic earlier, right? I think all of this stuff is kind of very dramatized when we, you know, for example, Amazon's success story, right? We can look at other companies, Steve Jobs' success story, Netflix success story, this whole Reddit stock thing, right? Everything's so dramatized until it gets to the point where it's like, oh, people are profiting a lot. Then it just becomes like, oh, now people are selfish. Now people are profiting. Now people are, you know, it's not really romantic anymore. But when it first starts out, it's like, oh, it's so dramatized. Everyone's so interested. You know, the books on it are so motivating. Then it gets to the point where it's like, oh, Jeff Bezos has so much money. Fuck this guy, dude. He's so rich. You know.
Pretty
True.
much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Public opinion sways everything.
Yeah, I'm not justifying him as a person. I don't know the guy, but
Yeah.
it's interesting to see how it shifts from, you know, when he first starts out to, wow, you know, he really went against the tide. You know, he innovated. He's insane. He's crazy. But you know, he deserved it because he worked so hard through everyone's expectations, and now he's like the worst person on the planet. So, yeah.
And it can be solved by just him buying a sports club or something.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah, dude. Buy every NBA club, dude. Go for it, dude.
Instantly liked.
Instantly, dude. The pocket change, dude. But yeah. Anyway.
I mean, to that point, dude, like, it's what's more mind blowing to me is how people don't really, they always target Amazon, and Facebook really as a you know, just screw Bezos, screw Zuckerberg. When there's so many other, you know, billionaires and millionaires around the world who are making more money that people still somehow, you know, not somehow, but like look up to someone. You know what I mean?
Not as high profile, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Not as high profile, right? Like, yo, I don't know how many people know Tencent, bro. They own everything, and it's every dude. Like, you know, we joke about it because we play League and stuff, and you know, Riot is owned by them, and there's so many game companies and stuff. Tencent has their hands in everything. And then I think about how Alibaba dude, you know what? I literally just looked it up. Lazada is owned by Alibaba. Did you guys know that?
I'm
Because
not
I
surprised.
freaking
Yeah.
did. I did not, and that's mind blowing to me. Like, there's these Chinese corporations that are leagues beyond everyone else, and you know, due to this limited understanding or knowledge or news about that part of the world, people don't really think about it. Um, but it's crazy how, you know, all these big companies that people tend to whine about and complain about are in the technology field. basically you all out of Silicon Valley. But it's really, I don't know, man. It's still mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
It's still mind blowing how much money they make.
Yeah, it's a bit off topic, but I feel like people's discontent with the system kind of just gets targeted towards those that are in plain sight that are kind of profiting off of the system. Like, I don't necessarily think that these people are bad people, but because they're so clearly profiting at such a insane amount because of quote unquote flawed system, there's no way to kind of channel your anger towards it but target them, I guess is what a lot of people do. But you're right, like Tencent, like all these big Asian companies, these giants are, they own so much, but people don't know because people just don't, people only know the ones that own the big sites that they know, the high profile sites. But yeah. Right. What do you think, Jude?
I mean, I harken back to Abid's word convenience, right? We could portray companies as being bad and people as being good, or vice versa. But convenience is important, and I feel like if Bezos were to do something, for example, say increase the Prime subscription rate to $200 to pay off the workers, there'll be an uproar. And all of a sudden, all these issues that we've had of, Bezos is not paying the people enough are gone. All of a sudden, people forget about it, right? Because they have to pay more, and now it's affecting them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sad truth about it. But, it's not going to take away from the fact that you still need to pay workers the just payment that they deserve. And I think that's what ties around a lot of the conversation we've had today. Convenience, regardless of companies, regardless of the platforms that you choose, and the stock market itself. The reason why people don't associate themselves with the stock market is just because it's, convenient not to. It's safer not to. And I think that's a good encapsulation of the entire conversation of this podcast. If you're, if our viewer was dozing off and just woke up. Convenience, yes. Like 7-Eleven, very, very nice. Very
Convenience,
nice.
yes.
Confused. All right. Hopefully, that gives everyone a different perspective on things, stock market, investment, etc. Speaking of different perspectives, one thing that hasn't been relatively common in our current time is travel. And with that, we have our question of the week. If you were to ride on a one-way cruise, what would your place of origin and place of destination be?
A cruise?
Let's just say you have one cruise, like a ship cruise, Hong Kong, and then you have a place.
I'm sorry, what? What type of cruise are you going on?
Yeah, you sound like a circus, bro. What the fuck did you say?
When the two, it's probably old ships, but not anymore. You know what I mean? Like, so imagine you have a cruise planned out, and it has to be from one place to another. It's not one of those like cruise where you can stop and go. Like, choose a place from and choose a place to. Where would you go from, and where would you go? You know what I'm saying? For me, it's not that hard for me. It's pretty interesting actually. Like, I would go from Hawaii to Vancouver.
Oh wow!
Wow.
If there was a route like that.
Why Vancouver? Just
because Hawaii gives you that tropical scene, and Vancouver gives you that not necessarily dead but cold scene. Like,
Dead?
it's very contrasting. It's very contrasting.
Why not Seattle, bro?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Yeah, Seattle's in America, cap.
Wow, okay.
That's Vancouver, bro. That's Vancouver, Oregon, bro. My brother.
Hey,
Vancouver, Oregon.
Anyway, moving on, dude. Who would like to tackle this?
Bro, for me, it would be the Atlantic crossing, really. I think that would be...
London to New York?
Yeah, probably.
Why
Or
not? Okay, I shouldn't
west of Europe, I guess. That would be cool, too.
Milan to New York, bro. But yeah.
Milan and New York. I mean, yeah, you know what I mean, like the western part of Europe. Like,
wait, isn't that
the Atlantic crossing from any point in the East Coast to...
Isn't that the Titanic?
No.
The Titanic path?
I mean,
Dude, I'm just trying to paint a chick. You know what I mean?
Wait, trying to sing.
Like
wait, have you watched the entire movie?
Have you watched
Yeah,
particularly
dude,
the
I
end?
have, dude, and there was
Anyway.
enough space on that plank for both of them, dude. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyway.
Yeah.
Up is definitely wrong.
Okay. A
Yeah, dude,
cruise.
push her up.
I've actually never I've never even considered going on a cruise because it just seems so out of like my financial bracket.
Financial bracket?
I don't know. Like it's just so like I don't know. I've just grown up being like, oh, a cruise is for like, you know, rich people, or people that are like balling in dough, right? Never even thought about it, but yeah, if I would get on a cruise, I'd think of something simple. Like it's pretty basic, but I'd take a cruise in the Caribbean. Like I don't really have a particular drop off location because I feel like anywhere I go would be fine. It's just I'd be going for the experience of the cruise, not really for the destination. So yeah, I take a cruise in the Caribbean.
Yeah, bro. Disney cruise. Say less.
Disney cruises, say less. Amir?
Guys, I'm telling you straight up. I'm going from Johor to Singapore. I want the shortest cruise ever.
Yo,
Wait,
smart.
I
smart.
don't trust cruises
Smart.
at all. Like
That's a fair point, honestly.
That is fair. That is very fair.
like there's no chance. Oh my god! Even if you get sick on the cruise, you be in miserable pain. You meet like so much weird strangers on the cruise too. I don't know how to handle that.
Yeah,
Sure, there's
true.
gonna be a lot of activities and stuff, but you know, who are the crew that you are gonna run with? You know, like
Hey man, that's the
That's
point.
only-
You meet a lot of weird strangers, you know? You have a good time. You know what I'm
if it's a stranger that you like,
Yeah,
are they the
Abid
stranger that you
is
want to meet,
Abid is
though?
that weird stranger on the cruise.
Dude, yeah, I am the weird stranger, bro, but you know what I mean? Y'all are stuck on the same spot. You know what I'm saying?
Abid's like, I'm here
You
for
have
a
to
good
social-
time. Everyone's like, hey,
You
stay away
have
from
to
him.
socialize, bro. You have to
Yeah.
socialize, you know?
But the way you guys answered it, I'm guessing you guys would like stay there for a short while or a long while, probably like 2 weeks maybe on the cruise.
I think a 2 week
Bro,
cruise
I
would be
literally
lit.
said crossing that Atlantic Ocean. I'm
How
staying on that
long
shit,
does
bro.
that take actually? How does that take? 2 months?
That's a
That was
lot.
a while.
That's a
That was
lot.
a while.
I've been trying to disappear on a cruise, dude.
Dude,
Context for
that's me,
people not
yeah,
from
that's me
Malaysia.
leaving.
Johor to Singapore is like what? I assume 10 minutes with a boat, dude. No cab. It's just a river, dude.
Forget boat, bro. It's like 10 minutes. It's like
Yeah,
5
it's
minutes
literally
by
just
car,
a-
bro.
it's a-
Maybe.
Even with that, I think I might die, dude. Oh, I don't
Oh
trust
my
that.
gosh.
On a boat, it would take longer actually, because you'd have to port somewhere. I'm pretty sure
That's true.
it would take a while, but not like long. It wouldn't be over 30 minutes, like the entire trip.
But yeah, the waiting
Yeah.
time is probably longer than the whole journey itself.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that, let's go straight to our song of the week. And I'll start it off. Mine is very simple. It is La Di Da by Everglow. I need to explain. I don't need to
Wow.
explain.
It's fine.
Why am I not surprised?
Wow.
Alright, to go next.
Long year end, bro.
Mine is 90s Kids by Kid Quill. Found it just now. Yes.
Literally just now.
Literally an hour ago, I just found it and it's fire.
Nice, nice.
Oh,
For
that's
me,
cute.
it's Lilac by Bobby. Pretty good
Oh.
song.
And then for me, it's Because I'm Me by the Avalanches.
Wow, bro.
Wow,
Damn,
Man of culture.
bangers.
you're so indie, bro.
Anyway, speaking of bangers, we are done. Actually, no, there's no relation to that. Let's just.
And
Speaking of
podcast
bangers,
ends.
we are done.
We are done.
You know what?
Sorry about the mailbag, guys. If
Wait, no. You don't.
Wait, wait, Amir, you talking to the viewers or what, dude? But anyway, it's a wrap. Like, let us wrap. Thank you to all for once again tuning in to the 4th episode of the season. Bye, everyone.
Jason,
That's
hit him
it.
with the music.